104.5 The Team, your home for New York Jets football. This week they play the Jags. Jags look really good, and it's always nice to talk to Tony Boselli when you're talking about Jaguar football. Let's just get right into the game. I was going to ask you about the anthem, but I'm sure you've been harassed with that enough. Let's just get right to the team. This team, how has Doug Marrone and Tom Coughlin made them competitive so fast?
Well, I mean, if you look at last year, I mean, defensively they were pretty good. I mean, they were a couple players away, and they lost a bunch of games on a possession here or there in the fourth quarter. I think it was 6 or 7 where they had chances to either hold on to the lead or win it, and they just couldn't finish games. And a lot of that was, defensively they didn't quite have the pass rush they have now, but they were pretty good everywhere else. And then offensively, Blake was really struggling bad last year, and they had no running game. So, they add a piece here on defense. They add Leonard Fournette on offense. They're running the ball much better. And when Blake plays consistent, they're a good football team. He played good, consistent in week 1, played very well week 3. In a close game in the third quarter in week 2, he was very inconsistent, turning the ball over, and they lost. So, they were probably closer than any of us realized to being, this type of team last year, but they needed to add some pieces. And then Doug Marrone and Tom Coughlin have done a really good job of adding those pieces and getting them to finish games better. They just didn't finish games last year.
Tony Boselli with us right now, 104.5 The Team. You brought up Blake Bortles. I don't know if anybody's under more fire than he is. Is the vibe down there that he can right this ship and be more consistent?
Well, I think everyone's hoping. I mean, but until you see him do it, I don't think you know for sure. And I think that's the big question. I mean, it's been so up and down throughout his career. I mean, this is a big year. It's up and down in training camp. At one point, he lost the job to Chad Henne for the third preseason game. He fought back, got it. So, if he can play like he did last week, then they'll be just fine.
The Texans are starting a rookie quarterback. The Colts are starting their third-string quarterback. The Titans are good, but it seems like the Jags could win the AFC South. Could we see that? Are they primed to do that in 2017?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves now. I mean, we're going one step at a time. I mean, let's figure out how to beat the Jets yet. I mean, I know no one up there thinks the Jets are very good, but when you've struggled as long as this Jaguar team has, you don't take anyone for granted. And so I think they are fully aware that they got a team that got a big win last week, and I think they're looking at this one right now, and they'll worry about the division come December.
Tony Boselli with us. Tony, it's up here. There's a lot of Doug Marrone hates the Jets because they didn't hire him when he left Buffalo. Is there any of that kind of talk down there?
First I've heard of it.
Oh. So
the
no.
answer is now, I don't think much. I think everyone's kind of focused on what's going on here. And I would be surprised if Doug's too worried about the Jets right now. He's got plenty on his plate. It might be mentioned here or there, but it's not a focus. And I think right now is the big question around here is what team are the Jaguars? Is it the team we saw week 1, week 3, or is it the team we saw week 2 against Tennessee?
Tony, you're a college football Hall of Famer. In my opinion, you should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame as well on the offensive line. And Eric Flowers, the New York Giants, is struggling. Some have said it's an overall NFL problem on the offensive line. Have you seen a fallback on offensive line play in the NFL this season?
I don't think it's just this season. I think it's been the last couple of years, and I think a lot of it has to do with the lack of practice, the lack of time in pads, the limited reps guys are getting nowadays. And I think the position that's affected the most is the offensive line. That coupled with kind of how they're playing the game of football at the college ranks, it really is a bad combination. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day, and just common sense. If you practice something more, you're typically going to be better at it. We had twice as many practices as these guys do nowadays, just in camp, let alone once we got into the season, we were still wearing pads for most of it. And so we have more reps. There's some downsides, maybe wear and tear and everything else, but I think we were able to play better football early. And I think as the season goes on, the play will get better. But it's hard. When you have just so few reps, it makes it more difficult. And so I think that's part of the problem.
We've had Jeff Schwartz on the show a couple times, and usually, Tony, you've heard it with the offensive lineman. If you struggle at left tackle, move him to guard. Just throw him on the right tackle, whatever. Schwartz hates that. He thinks if you can't play one position, you probably can't play the others. Do you think this could be a scenario where maybe not just Flowers, but some guys who struggle at left tackle need to move to a different position?
Oh, I kind of agree, Schwartz. I don't think it's quite that easy just to say, let's just throw a guy around and, you can't play tackle, you can play guard. In some cases, that is true. But I think Eric Flowers has some bigger issues. I mean, as far as technique and, and really, hand placement and knee bend. I mean, there's a bunch of different fundamentals that he needs to work on. And so just saying, oh, we can just throw him wherever and he can, we throw him in guard and make it easier for him, he'll figure it out. I think that's probably a little bit of a jump. I think you'd have to see it first.
Back to Jaguars-Jets. What can the Jaguars do to take down the New York Jets this Sunday?
Well, I think the formula for the Jaguars is pretty simple. They got to just keep on playing great defense. That's what they built this team on. And when they do that and run the ball, and Blake Bortles manages the game, they're a good football team. If they get behind or if the turnovers start going in the wrong direction from the quarterback position, that's when they get in trouble.
All right, who wins?
I think the Jags win. I think they're playing good football. I think the Jets have a lot of questions. I think it'll be closer than most people think. But I think the Jags are able to run the ball and get things going, and I think that defense will give the Jets a lot of problems.
That makes me feel a lot better. That's one of my locks of the week, so now I feel pretty good. I feel pretty smart all of a sudden.
All right, good.
Tony Boselli, man, we appreciate you making time for us. Always great to hear from you. And, man, thanks again for just answering the phone, basically, man.
Hey, no problem, man.